One of the clusters of hair on top of Colin's headset looks like a man bun, and it's great.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought when I saw it. I'm like, oh, wow, I like that.
Oh, dear Lord, no. I wouldn't
mind having a man bun. There's nothing wrong with it.
I will disown you.
There are many things wrong with it.
You get a man bun. What? Who are you to talk, Jacob?
No, I never, ever man bun. Never.
What's wrong with a man bun?
You just have a ponytail and a chin strap of pubes. You can't say anything.
What's so wrong about a man bun when you already have a ponytail?
A man bun is like full-blown gay.
No, I don't think so.
A ponytail is growing hair for the bald cancer kids. There's a difference.
That's true, but also
Jacob just does that as an excuse because he's too lazy to get his hair cut more than once every 4 years.
I don't see anything wrong with a man bun because, I'm not even of that culture, but samurais had man buns. They were cool. Actually, they were actually kind of dicks. Yeah, but like, what's wrong with what? I'm not a badass. I can't pretend to be a badass.
Colin, I had to pick up your groceries today. Shut up.
That's only because I have COVID.
How many people do you see walking around right now with a man bun that are actual badasses?
There's one guy that goes to Market Basket, but I mean, like he actually looks like he could be of Japanese descent, and like he is Eastern.
I used to work with a guy actually, who managed to rock it fairly well. I was a bit impressed with that.
I used to work with a guy too, and then I got into 2 weeks.
Did you ever pick fights with said men?
No.
Not proven badasses then.
I don't. What do you pick fights with anybody at all, Jacob?
Badasses don't pick fights. Oh my word!
You haven't proved
Jacob,
that they're
my
badass,
girlfriend could hand your ass to you. So shut up.
Is not true.
A badass doesn't need to prove himself.
Why buy a comic that might cost more than a dime? Come meet the brothers who are here to waste your time.
Welcome back to the Dime Comic Bros podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and my cohorts are Gay Man and Beard Boy.
Nice. Yeah.
Let's do real names. Co-hosted by Spencer and yours truly, Jacob. Me. Hello.
Me. Hello.
I didn't know you drank Trulies.
No, I don't actually. Gross. I've never had one of those. Why does it look like Spencer has an egg on his forehead? Has his girlfriend been beating him again?
No, I woke up with that bruise this morning, so that's really cool.
I can't even see his face.
I woke up with it, he says. Sounds like his girlfriend's beating him.
Oh no, what's
Jacob,
new?
At least I have one to beat me. So going into the news, Ryan Coogler's Proximity Media banner signed a 5-year contract with Disney to also to produce a Wakanda-based Disney Plus series, as well as to oversee various other projects not MCU related. I think this is a really good idea to try to transition the focus of the Wakanda-based stuff to the people and the culture more so than the actual character of Black Panther, as we don't have the actor anymore.
It's interesting how this will have to work hand in hand with Black Panther 2, as obviously the death of Chadwick Boseman kind of more than affected. It really threw a wrench in the works on that.
Yeah, and apparently they decided to not delay it at all. So it seems like they're doing script rewrites on the daily. One would think.
That sounds like it'll come out great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not the first movie wasn't really that great anyway, but
hot takes.
I didn't really care for the movie that much. I appreciated aspects of it, like Claw. I liked Claw a lot, mainly because I like the actor.
I mean,
King
Andy
of CGI.
is yes,
and
King of CGI.
I thought it was fine, but it fell apart in the third act because of some really rough CG and whatever.
That's true.
It was overall just another fine Marvel movie.
Yeah.
I'm with Jacob, but like crank it up to like 125%. I thought it was really good up until the third act, and then knowing in hindsight some of the stuff they had to work around to get the third act to work really does make it seem inevitable. But the third act definitely does fall apart a bit in terms of execution.
Right.
So, like, I actually agree with you. We're probably all kind of on the same page, but with how I like to try to do, I guess, movie reviews, amateur movie reviews, is that I try to look at it just as the movie and not like the people who made it. Because if you're going to look at any film, virtually any film, you can always go like, well, yeah, they had to do this and they had to do that. There's like people had to work with something. I mean, yeah, there's always that story, but when you really look at it, you have to like, how I see it, I have to look at it like the movie itself rather than the people behind it. But you can always appreciate the people working on it behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a case by case basis on that, just because like, I mean, you have like Rise of Skywalker. I invoked it. You have to work around such a major change of a main actor passing away. Like, there's only so. I think judging a movie in a quote unquote objective manner compared to what it could have, like its maximum potential, not in comparison to anything else, like it was always going to be handicapped. So it's a matter of how well it works with that handicap. Like a indie movie that decides to have excessive amounts of CGI, you have to take into account like, well, it's not going to be on par, but how well did they do with what they had? Like how well a director deals with the actors they were given usually.
Yet again, Spencer defending the potential of a movie, but he's right.
That's kind of my job, and more like my personality, being basic bitch.
As he's showing off his Zack Snyder t-shirt.
I was actually trying to take a screenshot, so shut the fuck up. So I have an article from thehollywoodreporter.com. HBO Max is launching a Batman podcast titled Batman the Audio Adventures, a comedic take on the Dark Knight that sees Jeffrey Wright lending his voice as the Caped Crusader. Dennis McNicholas, a longtime writer on SNL, penned and directed the multi-episode series that hails from Warner Bros. Blue Ribbon Content Division and will hit Warner's streaming service sometime in 2021. Audio Adventures is separate from the DC's multi-year deal with Spotify to create podcasts based on its characters. So, Batman with lulz, I guess.
Batman with lulz.
It's interesting how DC is making so much audio entertainment. Yes, audio entertainment. I've talked about before having bought a whole bunch of their books turned into audio entertainment, and most of it was mediocre. One or two good things, one or two real stinkers, but it's like it's all fine. But it's interesting that they're going back and trying it again. Like it seems to me like it's a market that is not real big, so I'm interested to see how this really turns out. I'm very, very interested in this.
I don't really have much to say about, I don't know, audio Batman. It's so I've listened to a couple of really good audio stories, but I don't know how I feel about it being like a well-known character rather than just a story that was made just for a podcast listening platform.
I want Colin to review one of these audio episodes and come back and bitch about the artwork that they painted in his mind. Like, yeah, I don't know, they could have described this guy better.
Oh my word, that's exact. You pegged that to me perfectly. That's exactly how I'm gonna be. I can feel it because I've liked that about certain things. I'm like, why'd they describe it like that? That's so dumb. I would have done better.
I really need to know
pretentious.
How big his belt buckle is in relation to the rest of the suit.
It's very important to know that, all right? Visually speaking, I need to know how big the belt buckle is because the bigger the buckle, the bigger the dick, all right? We all know this.
How many pouches are on this belt?
Many.
Yeah, you need to know. The bigger the belt buckle, the easier it is for him to hide his massive schlong, all right?
How long is the cape? Does it go like past his feet and kind of curls on the ground? Is it like a 3/4?
Is it all raggedy and kind of muddied up from all the junk and shit Batman's been stepping in? Maybe in the sewers, maybe bit by crocodiles.
Right.
Oh boy.
All important
Apologies for
things
any
to know.
listeners, as well as to you too. If you hear any plastic munching in the background, my dog is going crazy on a couple of toys in the other room, and I can't get him to stop. Exactly. So,
Crazy as in chewing,
Spank him.
or
that Colin, I know you haven't had a dog in a little bit, but that's not how that works.
Yeah, it does.
You don't.
Just spank it.
No.
Yeah.
Colin's advice
yeah,
about
no.
everything. Just spank it.
Yeah, literally.
Goes for Colin too. That does usually work.
Yeah, just spank me, daddy.
Oh boy.
Moving on.
Have an article from comicbook.com. Last week, Marvel Comics released the Heroes Reborn trailer, offering a tease of what's to come from the new universe where the Avengers never assembled. On Monday, Marvel revealed new details about Heroes Reborn alongside Leinil Francis Yu's connecting covers for the first 4 issues of the series, launching in May. The series is set in a universe where Tony Stark never built an Iron Man armor, Thor is an atheist, and Wakanda is just a myth. Without the Avengers to find him, Captain America remains frozen in the ice. The Squadron Supreme of America, which are essentially Marvel's Justice League, are Earth's protectors battling villains like Dr. Juggernaut, the Black Skull, the Silver Witch, and Thanos. Blade is the only one who remembers the world the way it was.
So I read this paragraph this morning, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not really sold until the last sentence where it says Blade remembers everything. And I'm like, I'm in. Where do I buy this?
Absolutely.
That actually sounds really cool. I don't know. Sorry that I interrupted you, but Thor as an atheist, I don't know. It just made me chuckle. Like, what the?
I'm definitely with Jacob on this. It's something because there have been other Marvel properties similar to this over the past couple of decades. And it was like, okay, this is something. Ooh, Blade. I'm in. Blade as a main character for like a crossover event is whack.
We've already established that Blade doesn't get enough love in his own freaking comic books, so being brought to the main line is huge.
Yeah,
I like this a lot.
I hope that does something more for him because, he's not really loved in his own. Like you said, he's not really loved in his own comic book. Like he's kind of made to be a character that you have like a team up character. He's kind of like a team up. Yeah, he's like a support character, and they showed him a lot more love in at least his first movie, live action movie. So hopefully,
he is definitely a support unit.
Of course.
Have an article from CBR.com. Neil Gaiman's Sandman is having a moment. 2020 brought a successful and star-studded audio drama adaptation, which, on a side note, was phenomenal.
I really want to listen to it.
Do it. And now the beloved comic is being adapted for Netflix. The show began production in October 2020, filming solely in the UK due to COVID-19 restrictions, and while there is no release date yet, the cast of the series has finally been made public. The story follows Dream, one of seven siblings older and more powerful than gods who personify concepts related to life. In 1916, he's captured by magician and charlatan Roderick Burgess and stays in prison for the next 105 years. When he finally escapes, he returns to the dreaming and tries to restore its glory. In the main cast, we have Dream is Tom Sturridge. Lucifer is Gwendolyn Christie. Lucienne is Vivian Archmapong. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. The Corinthian is Boyd Holbrook. Roderick Burgess is Charles Dance. And then Cain and Abel are Sanjeev Bhaskar and Asim Chaudhry, I believe is how you pronounce that. I'm super stoked for this. Like, over the bloody moon.
Bloody moon.
Insert meme format, the manga, the anime, and the Netflix adaptation.
True.
Oh, man.
I really don't know anything about this series, so this TV show will probably be my introduction to it, which is probably unfortunate, but we'll see.
I actually think the audio drama might be a good place to start for you, just in my opinion.
Get my hands on it without paying buku bucks.
It's on Audible. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, it's like freaking $40 for an audiobook. It's crazy.
Sandman?
Get Audible for a month. It's like free with basically any YouTuber. You can get a promo code, and then you can get the book for free.
I've gotten Audible twice for
it's
free,
not even
and they kind of follow you on that.
I mean, it's not even a book. It's a full-out audio drama. It's not that expensive. Go do it. It's really good.
Amazon has 3 big-ass Sandman omnibuses all boxed up together for like $75, and it looks beautiful, but
wow.
It's like I don't know anything about the series, so I don't want to drop $75 on it and find out I don't personally like it.
I just did research on this like 3 days ago. Roughly there's like 14 main Sandman trade paperbacks. There's 10 or 11 that are like the main story. Then there's a couple of miniseries. They're compiled into 3 large omnibuses. And then everything that's coming out now under the DC Black Label Vertigo merger thingamabobber is other stories in the Sandman universe that are involving Dream and Lucifer, but it's not a continuation of the actual Sandman series itself. That's over. And at some point, maybe next year, I was hoping we could get to that, but that's a pretty big thing to bite off. So I figured definitely sharing that would be cool.
I was wrong.
On price, yes.
3 omnibuses that are beautiful for $75 each.
There you go. There you go. They're very, very large.
They look nice.
The first one was had a limited edition silver one that was signed by Gaiman. There's like I think like 1,000 copies of it, and I want to find it.
I always thought you said his last name is Gaiman, Gaiman, but whatever.
Probably is, to be honest. I'm good at pronouncing some names, and then bloody like English names I just suck at.
200.
Colin, shut up.
$255 for all 3 put together.
Oofta.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the entirety of that is like 30 years of comics, though.
Watch that be Colin's next Hellboy.
Probably will be, to be honest.
You know what's sad? I feel I've been trying to like stay away because I saw that you know how we were talking about Sandman and Constantine basically being the same universe forever now.
I mean, they have been for a while, but yes.
I mean, yes, but like
since like the 90s.
Well, whatever. Anyway, I like the original Constantine, and I like some of the adaptations, and I loved the show. I'm scared to get into Sandman because I feel like it's going to be my next Hellboy.
It probably will be.
I'm scared too because I get obsessed so easily.
I think it's something we're all going to like a lot, which is weird because usually we're on different pages in terms of like what sort of stuff we like, but we all like mystical things. 2 of us like very deeply symbolic things, and Jacob just likes magic like a lot. So I don't know.
Magic's fun.
I don't know. It feels like something
from?
I don't know.
I'm not arguing. I'm just curious.
You just spooky fire demon things. You always get your attention. Not like insane, but they get your attention.
I like the demons.
I just like epic stuff. Like,
and that's definitely like that's what.
Dude, he's just
Gaiman, like that's what he's well known for is the insanely deep mythology. So I think there's something in there for all 3 of us to bite off, and I think that'll be good.
Yeah, it's just like epic, badass stuff, like full page drawings that like I have to stare at for a full minute before I can read the text on it. Just I do
love those.
That's what I'm into.
Yeah,
epicness. That's why I liked Jason Aaron's Thor run. Fight me.
Yes. Nobody's gonna fight you on that, Jacob, because everybody loves it.
I don't know. Watch me start fighting.
Yep.
Watch me start fighting.
Colin, that's just because you're a jackass.
That's because he doesn't like the artwork.
Yeah, most of the time.
Colin doesn't like that artwork. I will not like Colin's opinion on that. Like that's just not.
That's your problem.
You can not like it as much as everybody else, but like that's some of the most gorgeous artwork in a comic book. Period. So Colin is going to be wrong.
Period. With a T.
Yeah. So Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I'll give you pleasure.
Is officially rated R for, quote, violence in some language. This was expected anyway. We know Batman's got to say, jeez, calm down. We were already told Batman's going to say, so I'm excited.
I love that.
That's kind of it. Like that's not a lot to dissect. I did want to.
I was asked the other day what the Snyder cut is yet again. So I forgot. Is Affleck doing reshoots as well?
He was, I believe, involved in them that I can remember. What we were told was going on in nondescript ways was that all of the additional photography that happened was like an additional nightmare sequence or 2. If you look at the cast of characters and do some basic math, it's more nightmare shit.
So they're just using old footage from Snyder's old cut.
I mean, yeah, we went over this. There's like maybe 6 minutes of new footage that they had to shoot. That was it. That was like 2 pages of the script that they didn't end up getting to shoot and that they went and finished. So that's it.
Because, I mean, that was one of the biggest complaints about the released version already, was that Affleck looked hungover or drunk all the time.
All the time.
Well, yeah, because the whole movie was reshot.
Right,
so
right. No,
none of
that's
that's
what
getting used.
Right. No,
Yep.
that's what I'm getting at.
I
Anything else
did
in the
want
news?
to. There's one more thing, but while we're on this note, I did want to say on the record, the day that that it comes out, which I will be watching it on release day like 10 times over, and
No
we won't be
shit.
talking about it for like a month, and I'm gonna keep my trap shut. I did have to say that I'm going to be watching all 3 movies back to back to back, so I'm going to be spending Lord of the Rings trilogy time on this. It's going to be great.
Understandable.
What do you mean all 3 movies?
I'm going to watch Man of Steel, BVS, and then Justice League back to back.
All right.
It's going to be a full day. So, from Marvel.com, the Fantastic Four celebrates its 60th anniversary this year. The iconic Stan Lee and Jack Kirby creation, credited with kicking off Marvel Comics' historic Silver Age, has starred in some of the most memorable comic book adventures of all time, and now their illustrious saga will be presented in a radical new way in Fantastic Four Life Story, written by acclaimed writer Mark Russell from Second Coming and Wonder Twins, and drawn by Sean... I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. My apologies. That's just not going to happen.
Sean Penis Man.
Stop. From Fantastic Four and Avengers No Road Home, Fantastic Four Life Story will be written in the same approach as Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley's hit series Spider-Man Life Story. Fantastic Four Life Story, I don't know how many times they're going to say it in this article, will tell the entire history of the Fantastic Four from beginning to end, set against the key events of the decades through which their stories were published. I'm quite excited for this just because I really like the formatting of Spider-Man. Yay. Anybody got anything at all?
I've tried
No.
Fantastic Four a couple of times and haven't found one run to stick with. So
I would recommend the Ultimate run, but that's because I'm an edgelord.
And also, you like most of the Ultimate stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly well received. There was a little bit of like, this is kind of uselessly updated, but it was fairly similar to the mainstream universe. That and there's a Fantastic Four animated series from the 2000s. I don't remember what it was called specifically. I believe it's on Disney Plus. That I thought was pretty good. Maybe start there. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't get into Fantastic Four. Nothing will really get me into it. Maybe if it was because I know everyone says Doctor Doom is like one of the best characters.
What the
and,
frick?
the
He
best
is.
villain. But like,
He is.
I don't know. Spencer would have to really search for me to really get me into it, because you already searched for Wonder Woman, and I am reading.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. But Fantastic Four is going to be a little bit harder for me because I never liked them growing up anyway.
I mean, yeah, I didn't really either. I got into it somewhat later, but I mean,
like,
okay.
For people who do appreciate it, like, I want them to have a good movie for the people who do appreciate them.
Yep.
But like, or like a good comic book series for the fans. But I just personally, it seems like I just can't get into it, except for maybe liking Doctor Doom.
Have either of you tried the OG run from Lee and Kirby? That was pretty freaking good.
OG's comics are hard for me to get into.
Understandable, but I think this is it was right in the middle of the Silver Age when they started to hold up pretty well. in the opinion, the DC books of the time really didn't, but the Marvel stuff did, because that's really when Marvel started to kick off, was in Silver Age.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, Doctor Doom is Doctor Strange plus Iron Man. You can't beat that. Anyway, WandaVision episode 5 came out this morning.
It cracks me up that some popular-ish guy, I guess, I've never heard of him, stuck a rock in his head and is trying to look like Vision with a $24 million diamond stuck in his forehead.
What?
Yeah, little Uzi Vert is being a dipshit as usual.
$24 million diamond stuck there, just like
Someone's
this.
literally going to grab him like Thanos did.
Right?
And just go...
I do as the crystal guides.
So anyway, WandaVision episode 5.
Freaking out.
This is a long episode. Colin, I know what you're freaking out about. Can we do this in vaguely chronological order of things?
Right?
Fine. Fine.
This is a long
But
episode.
when we get to the point I'm freaking out about, can I talk about it and like have the first opinion?
Sure.
Thank you.
As I was saying, this is a pretty long episode. It was like 42 minutes. I mean, they have stupidly long credits, but this was basically a double episode because it was doing both the external and the internal narrative, and I really liked how that came together. But
it was really good.
Yeah.
So what
Jacob,
was the theme song ripping off?
this
The intro
what was
visuals.
I believe it's Fuller House.
That
Full House.
Full House.
Sorry, I'm thinking of this stupid you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
This
no,
show that her sisters
that's what
were
I
on.
was thinking about. That
I
was
didn't
like
watch sitcoms. I have a sense of humor.
Right. I have had no idea as I was watching it. I'm like, this is the first time that I don't honestly have a clue.
it's basically like every single 80s sitcom. It was like Gilmore Girls. I got a lot of Gilmore Girls vibes out of that.
Pretty sure Gilmore Girls was in the 90s and 2000s. Was that?
I think it
went back
Probably,
yet.
but they
90s.
acted very 80s.
True.
I mean, coming from the guy who's born in 2000.
Both of us, yeah. I'm really liking how the drama is unfolding between all the characters. Like, I like how this episode was actually pretty stressful compared to the other ones. The tension is ramping up super high. The arguments are going out, and like the Vision and Wanda having an argument will be disastrous.
Vision was very aware of things. Like, I could tell from other episodes that he was aware, but he was like, I guess I'm gonna let it play out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I
scared.
like how clearly it's breaking down at this point, where it's like even Agnes is like, wait, so do you want me to roll? Like, she's aware of what's going on. I think we all know that she has something bigger going on there. She's not just
I think she's the witch.
She's definitely something, because whoever Vision talked to as an actual person,
Norm,
only said she's hurting me or she's in control. It didn't specify who, so I assume Wanda, but it's really Agnes,
it might be
or maybe
Agnes,
the blonde lady.
It might be either one of those, or it might be whoever other external character. The one thing nobody's gonna let go of being Mephisto. Like, I think that one might be onto something, because when Wanda very clearly mind controlled people outside of the bubble, their eyes went red, and it was very evidently like basic ass mind control, versus when they're inside, she doesn't seem to be aware of it. She's like, wait, how do these people know what's like? She's so confused that they're confused.
Which backs up the theory of Agnes, because they showed several times in this episode that she just magically knew that something was going on and was right there to do it. So
I think she's like the witch. I don't know for her from any other comics or whatever, but I know while reading Vision, like the 2015 run, there was like this basically mentor to Maximoff, and she was like
Agatha
the
Harkness.
witch.
It's pretty soft confirmed that's who it is. It's just a matter of how they go about doing that.
Yep.
So
watching the kids grow was kind of horrifying. That was just freaky.
Watch them grow twice.
Yeah, it was funny, but it was like, oh dear Lord, this is disturbing.
I liked that they looked at each other like they wanted to grow again, like grow past the pain of their dog dying.
I like how hypocritical she's being. Like, no, you guys can't grow to this, but I can control my husband's corpse and also control this entire town in a bubble and take everybody hostage. But you guys can't move past your pain. You got to, strong arm through it, as she's just going absolutely batshit crazy. I love that.
It's so
I noticed in the theme song at the end of it, it says, we're making it up because we got love, which speaks to the whole plot of the show. They definitely repeated it too.
Yeah, the details are definitely coming together a lot clearer now, especially on rewatch. Like the commercial we had in this episode was of Lagos, for clean it for accidents you didn't mean to happen, something like that. And it's like, it's a paper towel commercial, but it's very clearly blood, and it sounds like blood, and it's Lagos from Civil War. And it's like, okay, this is making more and more sense.
I didn't catch that, actually. I was trying to figure it out. Like,
I didn't catch that, actually. I figured it was like something to do with blood, but I didn't know Lagos was.
Yeah, no, Lagos was the that was the incident in Civil War that she caused.
And they talked about that.
The airport is just where they actually were, but like, you know what I mean. And then I went back and watched the other two commercials because we had the Stark commercial for the toaster, which sounds like a bomb ticking, which would make sense to the Stark missile that she was next to while they were like buried in the rubble as kids.
Right.
And then the other commercial,
the Hydra
but
watch.
it was soap. It was soap and the watch. And I went back and I actually found out where that connected to because it felt familiar to me. And it's because in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they referenced the fact that Hydra had mind control soap for a while.
I said that last episode.
Did you?
Literally, yes, I was talking
that.
about the Hydra soap. I'm like, I like how this Hydra soap was in there. Yes, it's because I knew it was from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I
don't
remember that.
I
think
swear I
tripping.
talked. No, I swear I talked about
You're
that. 'Cause
COVID tripping.
No. That's been happening too. But no. Because I saw a thing on Instagram where I did a side by side of the like little bit of the commercial, and then it was Phil Carson
Coulson.
Coulson, son of Cole was talking about the mind control soap.
Makes us think we're in a magical place.
Yes.
Anyways, I really like how at the when the kids grew the second time, was that the first? No, the first time. Frickin' Agnes goes for like, no, the liquor is for the kids because they're teething or whatever is the assumption, and then she's just on the counter drinking it. Like, nah, this is your own shit to deal with. I thought that was really funny. And is it just me or did it look like the dog tried to kill itself twice? Because the first time it went immediately for an electrical outlet, and the second time it ate poisonous flowers.
So are those flowers actually poisonous, or is it a reference to something?
I don't know. I think I don't remember where I heard it, but somebody was bouncing around an idea of Agatha is the character of Agnes, whoever she is, aside from that character she's playing, is looking for Wanda to try to actually resurrect something from the dead. Because generally speaking, in mainstream continuity, she has difficulty with that. So it's either they're trying to wait until the kids are old enough to take for whatever purpose, or have her resurrect either like a synthezoid or a human or a dog, because it just, there's something there, because it's like, oh, oops, the dog ate my flowers. Oh shit, so it's so bad. It feels very suspicious.
I've got 2 points I want to talk about. It was interesting when the kids were still babies that Wanda's magic did not work on them.
I think it's pretty evident that that's why she isn't in control of quite everything. There's something else going on, because she has difficulty with a handful of things that she can't control, or it takes a minute for it to kick in, aside from just straight up rewinding time multiple times,
I was more thinking that it shows that they've got their own magical powers that are, besides aging themselves, like they're immune to her magic, or maybe it's because of whatever other character we still don't know about has control of them, or something. That's
a point. That's something I hadn't thought of.
I thought, so just back to the flowers for a second, I thought that maybe those were like the same, those were like a reference to the Everblooms that were in the 2015 Vision run, where you would eat one after hunger, and you'd eat one after murder to see into the future. And so I thought maybe she ate one of the flowers, and then she killed the dog.
Huh.
I don't know. It's probably like it's like just.
I mean, the dog is a reference. The dog is a reference to the 2015 run, because they did have a dog named Sparky, which was a synthetic dog, but
and it was basically the same type of dog.
Yeah. Probably the biggest gag was when the Vision and Wanda started arguing, which I felt pretty strongly that was very well handled. It actually felt like an argument. It's like, no, I don't trust you because you're quite literally controlling a bunch of shit. And then she decides to roll credits to try to avoid an argument.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
That was awesome.
That also with when everyone in the office was like laughing because they were saying that the email was a joke.
That
like,
was so...
everything was so like happy. It messes with your brain because it's like everything's like happy or laughter or whatever, and then you see Vision just like the camera work is supposed to be concerning and he's concerned, but the audio is so not that.
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
On that point with the credits, like the credits rolling just made me automatically like turn away and only half listen. And then I was like, wait, what? Like, and went back before it cut and was like listening to Vision's words. And I'm like, what? And then the credits glitched out and went away, and I was like, whoa, cool.
I thought that was really cool.
good. A couple of weeks ago, I found in the back corners of YouTube a theory about the color scheme of this show and how during the actual end credits, it shows the red and blue and green shapes, and how that's probably a reference to pixels, like in a TV screen, and you find it all over the place. I think there were only like 3 episodes out at the time the video was made.
Yeah, I think they established that pretty well last week in episode 4, where they literally referenced them as like, that's how Darcy knew to grab a TV.
Right.
Because it looks like transmission pixels, and they now are calling them hexes, which is a nice double meaning, because that's usually what Scarlet Witch's powers are referred to as hexes, because it's magic.
So you can see the pattern in the dome or the hex or whatever if you look really close. And I also found it in today's episode. The pattern is on the coffee cups that Wu gives to everybody. So
he is such like mega wholesome.
I love
Big
him.
Big fan.
I tried really, really hard, and this is not horny. It's the same small detail as the coffee cups. I was trying to see what the necklace was that Darcy is wearing, because they've done that trick before in past Marvel movies. Scarlet Witch
Black Widow
was wearing like an arrow for a necklace, implying there was something going on with Hawkeye and things like that. So I was trying to see, but every screen I have is super blurry and I couldn't make it out. And they kind of cut away quickly, so you can't really tell what it is. But I think that could possibly be an Easter egg.
Fair enough. One last thing. I like how they reused the post-credit scene we were told a couple of weeks ago was going to be included with Endgame, but they decided to remove it. I like how they repurposed it for this episode to include it as security footage. I thought that was really nice.
Yes. I was so happy to see that.
Something about that, but I didn't click on it for fear of spoilers.
Yeah, whatever Sword was doing with Vision's body was also sketches, because it makes no sense that they'd know what was going on in his will. They're like, oh yes, it's also against his will for his body to be used for scientific purposes or whatever. It's like, why the would you know that? You shouldn't have his body. Like, so yeah, she shouldn't be stealing it, but you also should not have it in the first place. So
and they had it in pieces, like all ripped apart.
Yeah, it's very sus.
They were Okay, so I figured that they were going to show Quicksilver for like the longest time, because they kept referencing him, Pietro, the twins, and then once the door rang and knocked or whatever happened, I was like, no way, I know it, and then we saw his white hair, I'm like, shit. And then we saw his face. I'm like, what the? It's his face. Abby was right there watching it with me, and she was just like, oh, it's what's his face from American Horror Story. And I'm like, no, that's Quicksilver from X-Men. That's the X-Men Quicksilver. I'm like, holy shit, and it's just like they recasted, instead of like the Marvel actor or the Disney actor, they used the X-Men.
Like what got me. Like, I wasn't surprised at all that they brought back Quicksilver.
I wasn't either.
But it was the casting choice that I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
See, yeah, I like the fact that Darcy immediately goes, wait, she recast her own brother, which I thought was pretty funny.
Right.
I think because the immediate like gut reaction is, oh, this is how they're going to do multiverse shenanigans that Spencer doesn't like, and they're going to utilize it. But when she says Pietro, he doesn't correct her. And he has the same hair as the MCU version. That's not how the character was in the X-Men films. In the X-Men films, his name was Evan Peters. It was entirely different. And she doesn't correct. Sorry, that was the actor's name. I don't remember what the character's name was. I didn't like that version, just to be clear. But like, He was not
Weird.
Sokovian, because Sokovia doesn't exist in the Fox X-Men movies. So it seems like quite literally she recast this character, which I'm assuming is not. I think it's like a monkey's paw sort of situation of like for some reason or another, she tried or was subconsciously thinking of bringing him back from somewhere. And then the other external character controlling more stuff than she is, or like fueling her powers, brought in one from somewhere in the multiverse somewhere. And I don't think it is the Fox X-Men one. It's just, I think that's a meta reference for everybody else, and they're not going to actually address that. I really hope they don't.
She was confused too. Probably
Right.
It could be because he was back, but it could also be because he was the wrong one. So was she asking my brother ? Or was it like, is it really you?
I want to go back and because I didn't catch if he used an accent or not, because we've heard when Wanda comes out of Westview, she still has fragments of her accent left. But when she's in sitcom land, she doesn't have it. So you would think because he also died, he would still probably have his. And I didn't catch, I don't remember if this version was using one or not. I think there's so many different possibilities.
He sounded like he had like a New York accent.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying actually, but I think that was just for sitcom land.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. There's so many places this could go, and like a third of them, I really hope they don't with a passion, because I just don't want them to
I'm
go.
okay with multiverse. I'll say it right now. I'm okay with multiverse.
I'm okay with them utilizing a couple of like actors from the other movies, but not as the same characters. Like reusing.
No, like a reboot.
JK, like using J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is fine. It's a different version. It's very clearly different anyway, and it's also a smaller role. If you want to bring back a couple of the actors from those movies, which there's a way that you could probably make story potential with that, you really can't just be like, and we just plucked them literally out of the Fox continuity and now they're in this continuity. Deal with it. Like that would be so stupidly jarring and lazy, in all honesty, and connecting them to really shitty movies for the most part that most people don't like.
I didn't mind that.
It's like 50-50 with those. There's some really good ones and some pretty things, and then a lot of stuff in the middle. Yeah. But it hurts my head because I don't know what they're like. There's so many things that are equal possibilities, and it's just playing roulette. So,
and it's like they've done well so far. Are they gonna keep doing well, or is it a fake out, or is it a double fake out?
It's probably a double, quadruple, triple fake out is what my gut is saying. It's always, they're going to have 15 layers. I think what you just said, now that I think about it, is a really good way to put it with my gut reaction to how they're setting up what sounds like a soft trilogy of multiverse things with WandaVision and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man is like, so some of it you can definitely do well. It just seems like they're pushing their luck with setting up so many things that it's like you have 50 things that have to deal with multiverse shit, all in this short little cluster of time, bringing in so many actors from other continuities. I think you're pushing your luck here.
I think it would be fine though if they did it in just those three things, and then the rest of Phase 4 wasn't multiverse though. Like if they,
and I think that's not what they're doing. Is that it seems like they're going to do most of like the actual multiverse dimension hopping in those movies. And it's going to set up a new norm after that, right? With all this other stuff, and
just reference it like, oh yeah, in the freaking multiverse shift, this person arrived, and it's like, just do dumb references to the event as they've already done before with the past phases.
I guess I just feel like because it's directly after this new norm of like post. The second snap, like we had new norm we barely got to see between Infinity War and Endgame, and then we're back to new norm, which we kind of saw in Far From Home, and that's about it. And now we're trying to set up another. It's too much clustered together. That doesn't seem to have like a trajectory in mind that we're aware of. Obviously, it just there has to statistically be a big up in there somewhere, and that's going to be mildly upsetting for me.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's already mildly upsetting for you.
No, it's just blood. Man. It's just blood pressure raising. Jacob, do you want to start with the consumption, or shall I start with the consumption?
I bitched about it last week because I only had 2, so I guess I can be responsible and start this week.
Do it.
Colin, not Spencer.
What's up?
I would like you to name a movie starring Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, and Brie Larson.
All in one movie?
Yep.
Oh, that's isn't that Endgame? Or is it Infinity War?
That's what you would think, Spencer.
Kong Skull Island.
That is correct.
Shit! Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Monkey.
I want to go back. I want to be monkey. Go back.
Jacob,
I want to be monkey.
Jacob, what are your thoughts on this
I was
movie about?
honestly pleasantly surprised by this. I
Really?
did not expect to like it, but I really, really liked this one. It is a good premise until it fell apart because Samuel L. Jackson's character was being an idiot, which is kind of intentional, but it was like typical monster or horror movie idiocy. So it's like kind of can't sin it for it because that's part of the genre. But that part really, really bugged me. But the fight scenes were really, really good. There were a couple of times where it was monkey fighting whatever, snake or lizard or something. And it's like, yeah, they're bashing the crap out of each other and they throw one into a mountain and it crumbles. But there were a couple of times in the fights where something really violent happened. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like
There's some pretty good choreography in that movie for a giant monkey.
right.
Where have you been watching these? Because I thought that you were watching them on HBO Max, and I realized that Godzilla wasn't on HBO Max.
I bought the DVD 3-pack, which looks like ass to begin with, and then you throw it on a shitty hotel TV, and it looks even assier. It's like an unwiped
Ew.
ass.
Oof.
That's gross. I don't entirely disagree with you, unlike what you thought I was going to do.
John Goodman is in this, and he was fine. I don't think he was really written too well, but he played it like he always does. John C. Reilly was freaking awesome in this. But I'm not sure if that was really acting, though. It's kind of like casting, what's his name? Randy Quaid. It's kind of like asking Randy Quaid to play a crazy guy. But I don't know if John C. Reilly is actually crazy, so please don't sue me. It was just a joke that landed poorly because I couldn't think of one of the actors' names.
Sue him. We dare you.
For a dumb monster movie, I think this is really, really good. 4 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I don't disagree with that hot take. The thing that bugged me about that movie and Godzilla is they're so effing different in terms of tone. Like, I like both of the premises, like the partial found footage, massive, freaky, paranormal giant lizard deal, and I like the kind of dumb monster movie romp of Kong. But then that tone spread to Godzilla King of the Monsters, and that looks like...
Don't spoil that one for me.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying it's evident by the marketing, and it's like I'm
probably gonna have to buy those movies because I want to watch them now.
Just borrow them from me when I get home.
I don't want to wait that long.
I want to wait for you.
I don't want to wait that long. Colin, you will end up waiting that long because you'll forget about it as soon as we stop talking.
Probably, but I have a question. How did Kong get big? I'm gonna have to wait for the movie for that response, huh?
What is it with people being like, why is Kong so big compared to Godzilla? Because this monkey's bigger than the other giant monkeys. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, I don't know. Like, what's the story behind him being big and all those other monsters in Kong being big? I just don't know the story. I just don't know it.
Kaiju.
Okay, I don't know what kaiju is.
You'll have to watch the movies. I think
Mr. Weebman doesn't know what kaiju are.
Yeah, you think I would know what a kaiju is, but I'm kind of new to being a weeb, so
pleb.
Spencer,
giant monsters. What
have you done this week?
So I'm going to have to break mine up into different sections and go between you guys. I read the entirety of the Dark Knight's Metal event. So
insert happy metal noises.
So Dark Days, The Road to Metal is the first, in quotes, trade paperback. So it contains Dark Days the Forge and Dark Days the Casting, which are the two actual setup issues, and then a butt ton of very lightly related tie-in material from Scott Snyder's Batman run, Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis. It's a bunch of stuff that you could construe as related because it is kind of related, but it's not even remotely close to prerequisite reading. I didn't touch it because I've read all those and I knew what they were referencing and I didn't need it. So really, it's a trade with 2 issues in it, not like the 8 that it says it has. So it was illustrated by John Romita Jr. And as usual, I am very 50-50 on his art. There's some of it that I think looks really good. He has a somewhat similar style to Greg Capullo. I think Greg Capullo started illustrating after him, but whatever. Like, it's kind of similar. It has like that very rocky, line heavy sort of deal. But Romita Jr.'s art is so flat overall. Like, it's not dynamic. Like, Capullo's art has that type of line structure to it, but it's still very dynamic and it matches really well with color. Romita Jr. is very, like, sometimes it looks really nice. He does really good covers. He's done some good Spider-Man stuff in the past, but everybody is just a big blocky behemoth and I don't really like it that much. Some of it was fine. I actually like how he does Joker, which was kind of unexpected. So the setup was pretty solid for the event stuff. It was very convoluted because it's tying together stuff from like 6 different generations of DC. And then having one book that really only has 2 issues in it, and then the rest of it just being, you could read it, was kind of stupid. So I thought it would have made more sense for those 2 issues to be included just with the main metal book, because out of all the tie-in issues, those 2 would be the most relevant. Colin, what have you been doing?
So I haven't actually like really finished the things that I'm watching because watching and reading because they're kind of like longer. But I'll start with I returned to Neon Genesis Evangelion manga. And let's see, there's like 3 books in the one because you can't get the original manga anymore without it being a Japanese or finding an incomplete version. You'd have to like buy a couple on eBay just to get a complete version. Then you have like extras. So it's about 5 issues and each are about 3 regular mangas long. And so I would say I'm probably on the second or I'm about to start the 3rd manga. And a note for the manga is that, or for the series itself as a manga, movie, and show that came out in 90s, all the characters act exactly the same except for like Shinji, our main protagonist, our young 14-year-old boy. In the show, he's kind of like, I'm awful, I'm so fucked up, I can't do anything right, everyone hates me, what's the point of living? Where the 3rd one is like that but elevated to like 100, and also like, I owe people things, like I owe people this, I owe humanity this, I owe my dad this. And then we go to the manga and he's like, whatever, bro, I don't even give a shit. Like Misato, his like higher up, his ranking officer, it's like, you need to get your act together. You can't just not follow my orders. And he's like, bro, it doesn't even matter if I die. And she slaps him and she's like, what are you talking about? You can't save humanity with that having that mindset. You're just going to kill everyone else with yourself. And he's like, bro, I don't care. And so I actually like the Shinji a lot more because he just doesn't care, while the other ones are such like simps, or like he's just annoying. I hate Shinji in the film adaptations. But on a note of manga in general, I found it so much easier to read manga than it does American comics because of the layout. It just, my brain, it feels right to go, it feels correct to go right to left while I'm reading. It just works for me for some reason, and it feels good in my hands. I don't know why, because every time I read American comics, I actually have a struggle. Like I think that's why it's so hard for me to keep reading American comics, is because of the left to right motion. Like that's why recently with Vision, it's been taking so long. I did finish it last week, as I said on the podcast, but manga's easier for me to read. And also black and white is really fun to read in. Of course, I can't have any thoughts on anime art style or manga art style because they're all the same for the purpose of being able to be distributed easier. It's faster. It's for the sake of the story or for the sake of big horny, just to get it distributed to the masses faster. Also, the reason why they're mainly only in black and white. So I don't have much of an opinion on that, unless if there's like a massive change. But the main big pictures with the Ava units and the angels like fighting each other, like the ones that cover a whole page, phenomenal. Shading's amazing. Silhouettes are fantastic. It's just it. This is a dumb saying, but I guess it breathes in new life to anime, but it's not new. It's older manga.
It just adds to your experience of anime because it's just increasing your knowledge and understanding, and it's like a different aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. It's actually it's very much easier to see that dynamic posing and artwork without the colors, and it's just the black and white. So I think I've come to a new appreciation of just black and white panels. I think close to like how you are about the black and white covers, like those additional covers, like
Or
how you
even
like them
the
so much.
Nora books.
Yeah, and the noir books too. I don't know. It just gives it a nice tone. It's a nice clean feeling to it, you know? It's just nice. I'm giving this so far a 5 out of 5, mainly because I love the Neon Genesis storyline. I love how it goes, and the books are really nice.
I think it's funny how for Colin it's easier to read manga, whereas Jacob and I are left-handed. So like you'd think it would be easier for us to write and read in that direction because it's like you're not pushing stuff across the page when you write it. Thusly, your brain takes it in easier. Mm-hmm. But at least for me, I think it's because I had to force myself to do so many things right-handed, like reading or, just vaguely like knowing how to be ambidextrous, even if you don't use it very much, or like just that sort of stuff where it's like this, it's so against the indoctrination I put in my own head that it's stupidly hard to read manga.
Extremely. Yes.
It's so weird.
It's like I'll read manga and I'll just be reading along like I'm supposed to be. And then a page later realize that I just read it completely backwards and have to go back or forwards. And it's like, sometimes I get so frustrated, like trying to figure out which way is up that I just close the book and throw it. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so funny to me. Cause I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm special in the brain where it's just easier for me. But also I would like to add that I enjoy reading manga more than anime because I'm going at my own pace, and I'll add that comment to my, my next content intake on my next turn.
Which means that it is my turn yet again. So, hang on a second. Let me get it. I'm back. I read The Batman Who Laughs by Scott Snyder and artwork by Jock. That is his name. Jock. Yet again, I got hot takes on this one. This one's tough to read. Like, I don't remember. There was something in Metal, and I'll need Spencer to back me up on this. Somewhere in Metal, it was established that if the Joker dies, there is a gas in his heart that will release to kill the person who killed him. Spencer, am I tripping?
In that continuity, yes.
Where in that continuity was it?
It was, I mean, it just, that's how, because the Bruce Wayne of, I think it was Earth -12, I think was the number, found it out when not accidentally, when he just decided to snap the Joker's neck again.
Right.
And then the gas got released. So he just found that out on accident. One would assume it was something that was like mutated from the chemical incident or something like that. It wasn't really set up in that. It was just, oh crap, this is an unexpected side effect sort of deal.
In this one, the Batman that we know and love is trying to save Joker and brings him to the Batcave, and the Joker dies, and it releases that toxin and infects our Batman, even though I'm pretty sure it was unintentional. Like, Batman was just trying to save him. But then the Batman Who Laughs is in here, and he's wreaking havoc and is like teleporting Bruce Wayne's from other universes into this one for a nefarious plan that I won't spoil for you guys. But there was that aspect of it, while this Batman is getting more and more tainted by the poison. And so this Batman is trying to stop the Batman Who Laughs from his nefarious plans. And I'd say 2 issues in, maybe 3, consults Gordon's son for help to try to outthink the Batman Who Laughs. And so that's which
is a callback to the last time that Scott Snyder and Jock collaborated for Batman the Black Mirror. Continue.
You didn't need to do that, because with all of those as a premise, I guess the best way I could explain this book is the Metal or Dark Universe version of the Black Mirror. So that sounds really good, but overall I was left like, it's fine. It's like, I wasn't actually overall happy with it. I think the artwork is kind of rough, and I have no actual words to describe how or why. It's just not as defined as anything I've seen for a while. It's like a lot of charcoal rubbings instead of actual shapes and shadows.
I hate charcoal.
I know.
I love it.
So, ugh. I also don't think I was a huge fan of Black Mirror either, because I was so confused about what was going on, like what the context was of it. So I should probably go back and read it again, which I find myself saying a lot. But if I had to describe this book, I would say it is the Black Mirror, the dark Black Mirror.
I loved that show, Black Mirror.
Black. Oh my goodness. Yes, when somebody pig.
That was great. I loved that episode. Dude, that was
Colin,
like the first
why do you
episode that I watched, and I was like, this is amazing. This is a show for me. I need to finish it all.
That was the first episode.
Colin, you have problems.
Yeah.
You're the one who's like, great. Yeah, I can't watch things that have weird sex. And I agree with that. But you liked it when they did it Black Mirror. What the f is wrong with you, man?
Because they didn't show it. They didn't show him, like, they didn't actually show sex. It was just like
heavily alluded.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's visuals. It's visuals for me. If I see something, it's like, unless if it's like really grotesque screaming, like in an anime I watched recently, but like I didn't finish it. Like the screaming from a woman sounded real, and that, like, not sexual, but like she's in pain, freaked me the fuck out. It freaked me out. I couldn't do it.
There
Understandable.
A scream in the first song of The King is Coming. That sounds legit. It freaks me out.
That thing sends chills up my spine every time. It's such a good intro to the best album ever.
Yes.
Speaking,
I had one more.
But that was my transition to the actual.
Go ahead.
Oh man,
the actual metal event. So it's the 6-issue primary, just Dark Knight's metal event, written by Scott Snyder and illustrated by Greg Capullo. Greg, as always, is a king. He's got some just amazing art. I always like the colorist they pair him up with. Most of his work has very colorful color, associated with it. I don't know why. It's just because of such grungy and usually darker imagery. Pairing it with bright ass colors is so good.
Colorful colors.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm very, very pretentious. So the story as a whole, just reading the main issues, I think is fairly cohesive. You don't really need to read the spin-off content. It is way more enjoyable to do so. But the main event is definitely convoluted and messy, but it's metal, so shut the fuck up. Which isn't really the best way to skirt off criticism. Like, there's an extent of that you can get away with.
Isn't that supposed to be crazy though?
Yes, but you can't just go, well, it's dumb. It's like saying, oh, this is dumb, crazy fun. Yeah, but Transformers is still like, there's a way to do big, dumb fun that is still follows internal logic and is good. And I think this does it fairly well. Yes. There are monkeys in this. So Colin's interested. I think the story functions very well. I had a lot of fun with it, and some of the emotional beats it hits is really good. Also, there was a very unexpected cameo, which I won't say. Jacob knows what I'm talking about. That I thought was really, really cool. Not just like there's some fun, like, oh, that's neat. I didn't expect that, but this one's like, oh, this is great. And I think the main big bad of Barbados was a really good concept, and I love the artwork. Really needed more time, though. Like, the event feels more like the Batman Who Laughs is in charge, whereas he's just the pawn of something bigger. And I understand it gets into the territory of Barbados isn't really a physical thing. He has a physical form, but he's an interdimensional being that's much bigger concept-wise. But you can only use that as a defense so often. Like, Darkseid exists on all planes of existence and is much bigger than anybody ever realizes. But he still has a physical body, and they usually still give a lot of development to whatever form he's in. I mean, including in this run where he's a baby, which is hilarious. But I really like it. I think out of all these books, it is easily the most cohesive and best just overall read. Very strong recommend. Yes.
I'm excited to read that because when it was running, when it was coming out, I kept seeing like panel shots of certain things in the on like Instagram and just wherever you can see stuff like that. Probably read it a couple times, but
dude,
it just looks really good.
Batman punches a Joker-faced dragon and rides it.
That's
you need
amazing.
to read it. You need to read it.
I'm going to.
So, Colin, what have you been doing?
Okay, so I was going back to Naruto, and I'm watching Naruto Shippuden, and so it is so annoying. I didn't realize why. I totally forgot why I stopped watching Shippuden, and it's just like one whole episode is just they're standing there just not monologuing, but like talking to each other about how am I going to defeat this person? I can't do it, but I can. Oh, yes, you can. Now, throw that punch. Right. And it's just like, it's old anime where it's just really shitty. I don't care. At me, you Naruto simps, all right? I like Naruto, right? I like it, but you cannot tell me that it takes you forever just to get to the end of like one story. So basically, a normal episode where you have the intro, the problem, then you go to the climax, and then epilogue of the episode, right? That takes 20 episodes just to get to. I look up what's manga accurate, manga canon, manga filler canon, fillers and stuff like that, right? So I skip the filler episodes. That's a start, and I deal with the manga filler canon because they're like there's a little bit of filler in this episode, but there is some manga canon.
See, what you're talking about right now is kind of the reason I avoid a lot of the more mainstream manga, like the very fighting based ones in particular. Like, I really like One Punch Man.
There's no fighting. It's just talking.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like particularly Dragon Ball and Naruto. It's like we're gonna stand here
Dragon Ball.
In like, and I've seen some pretty solid episodes, and I understand there's stuff to it. It's just there's so many episodes where it's just and then you have the same janky ass anime dialogue, just the jaws moving back and forth, and they stand in like anime space where nothing exists because they're cheaping out on having a background, and they're just like, it's just so obnoxious and it's all over the place. That bothers me. It takes so
long. It just takes so long just to like see something, just to see anything new. It's just so annoying. And then the fight scenes, most of them don't even last long. So the last episode of Naruto, like the original Naruto, not Naruto Shippuden, was like the best part of the whole series because it was a fight between Naruto and Sasuke, and the animation was different. It looked so good because they didn't cheap out at all. Naruto Shippuden did that in the first episode, and now it's back to like regular. And you have to wait. I don't know how many seasons because I haven't really looked too much into it. I'm just trying to get to the good parts because I've seen scenes and they look so good. I'm just so annoyed that it takes so long to get through basically a single episode. And I skipped from I was on episode 6 and I skipped to episode 20 just to see how far we got. They didn't even get that far. And you know what's funny? You can skip episodes because more than likely you'll see a flashback to 2 episodes ago because they restate the same every single episode. They restate like what happened 5 minutes ago.
This is why I unironically really like the first 5 seasons or so of the Pokemon anime. Yeah, it's a kids anime, and it's like it's slightly of an American anime, and like it's Pokemon, but they do like they actually do. They go, they find new things. They go to new places. They learn things instead of, oh my gosh, how can I fight this guy? You're gonna punch him stronger. I can't punch him hard. It's like watching The Flash, but every episode there's a new speedster, which there is on The Flash, which is why I hate it. And it's like that every time. It's like, I can't punch him harder. You will punch him harder. And then they go into the sky. Now I'm talking about Dragon Ball. And like, ooh, yay, level up, new hairdo. And then the same problem persists the next episode where there's someone who can punch harder. It's like, off with this bullshit. This isn't content. It's not even content.
No,
it's just
not.
lies.
It's so annoying. I hate it so much. I'm just trying to get through Naruto. I will never buy Naruto manga. I know that because there's just so much. There's just so much Naruto, and I know most of it's not even good. But like the idea of certain things is really good, but they keep going back to characters, keep doing, oh, he's the same as me. Huh, now we have the power of for friendship. It's like, what the okay?
Surprise Pikachu face.
It's so stupid. It drones off just like I'm doing.
Right.
And
this is why I like anime inspired things more than I like anime.
But like, you just have to not watch mainstream or read mainstream anime manga,
which makes me confused. Why the it's mainstream if it's really like people are like, oh, I have this short attention span. I can't watch a 4-hour movie, but they will quite literally like
you watch
popularize
a 9-season
this
anime.
Yeah, where the first 3 seasons are them having one conversation, basically.
Yeah,
like, how do you say you have a short attention, but you're literally staring at the same shit? It doesn't even move.
Naruto Shippuden has 9 seasons, and that's basically only Act 2 of Naruto. Honestly, though, the animes that are good are like the 24-episode animes, like Neon Genesis Evangelion, or you can watch like 12-episode ones. Some of those are really good. There's animes that are good. You just have to watch the ones that aren't mainstream, like Mob Psycho 100.
So, I read most of X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills. Extended cut from 1982, written by Chris Claremont and Brent Anderson. I don't remember if I said 1 and 2, which is, I believe, the whole run or issue or story or whatever. I didn't like it at all. And I saw online that this is like the starting point for new X-Men readers. Like, this is like, I saw so many people ask me, where do I start with X-Men? And they point to this book or 2 issues. And it's like, ugh.
It seems like X-Men's hard to like write or like make good stories.
So to be fair to it, this is what really kicked off what the X-Men are really known for with their social values and their inclusion of many social topics.
I think this is the fundamental reason why Jacob doesn't like most X-Men books, because that is like their primary driving force is to be
really say about X-Men books, because this is the second X-Men book I've read.
This is true.
But yes, that's what I'm trying to
Spencer.
get. That's what I'm trying to get to, is like, this is the foundation for what the X-Men became, and all of their subtle or not even subtle political stances that I don't want to hear one way or the other about when I'm reading a comic book. Does that make sense? Am I being too critical?
No, I get that.
Makes sense. Disagree, but you could use the.
Oh my
you could go read the Ultimate Run where there's incest. Could start there.
I'm down.
No.
Anyway, I also hear what Colin's talking about with his anime, because I had the same complaint about this book. I took a screenshot of a frame from this book where Kitty Pryde is running away and like from bad guys and is trying to get onto a train. And I will read you this panel. Using my phasing power to walk, in air quotes, on air isn't easy at the best of times. The slightest lapse in concentration and I'll splat all over the sidewalk. But I can't maintain this pace much longer. It's like, there's so much of that in this book. And I think it's partly because it's Silver Age, Spencer? Bronze Age, maybe?
I think that's early. What year was that from again? I don't remember.
82.
82. That would be like early Bronze Age. That's before the dark and gritty wave hit, but like I don't think it would be technically considered Silver Age.
Which is pretty crazy, because this is dark and gritty for early Bronze Age. Like, the X-Men are victims of a guy who's like leading a crusade or genocide basically against the X-Men because they're X-Men. So early in the first book, Kitty Pryde is beating the crap out of a guy that is like, yeah, death to all mutants. And she like tries to have a conversation and he's like miserable about it. So she just starts beating him up, and the argument is broken up by a person of color and is getting yelled at by this person. And Kitty's Pryde is like, okay, but it would be like if he called you, fill in your own blanks here, because they certainly did. And the adult was like, yeah, you've got a point. And it was like, I'm sure it was mind-blowing in 1982 that they made it so edgelord. They made it so extreme, but it's so cringe reading it now. Like, it does feel cringy edgelord instead of making a point. So I don't know.
You probably have that opinion now because of the other comics you have read and like our other media that has done it better now.
Right. And
I mean, like our mainstream
X-Men, like all the movies are based off of this book. Like,
damn, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our more mainstream, like just normal comic continuity is a bit more edge. I don't like it when people just go, oh, comics are too dark these days, and that's why the movies are all dark and gritty. But there is a point to be made of like the metal event is in prime continuity. I don't have a problem with that because I'm an adult and I would let my 13-year-old read this book. But anybody under 13, A, will not understand it, and B, it's a bit violent. And this is like mainstream normal continuity T-rated book. That's
such a bad adult. I am a bad adult.
Like that's what most, not quite as far, but like that's what a lot of our stuff is at this point. I don't have an inherent problem with that, but it makes more sense by contrast. A lot of the things, it's like, oh, this is such a pioneering thing where we go back and read it. It's like, it's just The Dark Knight Returns. Like, it's great, but like, this isn't anything mind-blowing or super edgy, because this is pretty, in one way or another, this is what we're used to.
I didn't think that
Yes.
Metal, the books that you are talking about tonight, were all that violent, but The Batman Who Laughs definitely was. That felt like a Black Label book. But it was...
It literally was.
I do not think so. I think it's part of
it
the...
is.
Like, it's in the same continuity. I don't remember if it's printed on the book or not, but it is a Black Label book. It's like Three Jokers. It's in prime continuity, but technically it's a Black Label book as well.
I don't think so, because all of the things I've looked at online say that it goes from metal to heavy metal.
No, it does, but like, it is, but like, Black Label doesn't mean it's out of continuity. Most of them are. It just means that the book's tone is adult oriented. Like I said, Three Jokers is an adult book, and it is in main continuity, and it's also a Black Label book. It might not be on the book.
Yeah,
and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty confident it is.
Black Label on my book. I've looked all over the place.
Whack.
So anyway, I can definitely see why X-Men fans point to this book as a starting point, but with no hard feelings, it's just not for me.
I think you just hate X-Men.
That's not true. I raved about the Joss Whedon omnibus early this year.
I'm just shitting on you, okay?
Shut up.
No.
His feelings.
Spencer, you're next. Talk more metal to me.
Oh, yeah. So, Dark Knight's Metal, The Resistance is one of the 2 companion books. It collects issues from the Suicide Squad, Green Arrow, Titans, etc. So this is like B-Team Metal. So they're going through the different circles of Gotham City, basically, because there have been walls constructed, and it's like turning into the 9 layers of hell. And so different Batman villains have been given like super powered playing cards from the Batman Who Laughs. So they have like mega uber superpowers. And we get this weird team up between the Titans, the Suicide Squad, and like just the Bat family. Because there's a lot of overlap there. You have like Nightwing, Damian, some of the Titans, Green Arrow, Killer Croc, Harley, etc. So it like ends up being like an extended Bat family, and I really, really like this book because the art style shifted around, as did the tone, because it was going through Teen Titans, blah, 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 Green Arrow, blah, 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 Harley Quinn, blah, blah. So it was different, but it all was very cohesive, very start to finish. Could have used a hell of a lot more Teen Titans. It was very light on that. I did not like that. I really like how well Harley Quinn was done in this event. She's not terribly important to the overall thing, but I just really enjoyed watching her beat the shit out of people and be annoying.
I think you just like Harley Quinn in general.
I mean, I do. I did talk to Jacob off air about like I've definitely mentioned I was kind of sick of Harley Quinn for a little while, not because I dislike the character or even the stuff she's in,
of course,
but just because there's so much. I was getting a bit tired.
Yeah, she's being utilized to the point where it's just like
it's pushing
you. It's pushing you.
And then I think this, in combination with rewatching Harley Quinn, the show again, is like, okay, I'm good.
I loved the show. I loved the show so much.
I know you talked about it last week, so shut the fuck up.
Did I?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Nope. Jacob saying no.
What the?
It was a couple weeks ago.
Okay, my point still stands. Yeah. So I think this was the most like if you were going to read one of the companion books by itself, this one makes the most amount of cohesive like narrative sense because it is pretty back to back, just events transpiring. So I liked it, but it was still missing a couple of things. So stonks. So then the other companion book is Dark Knight's Rising. This is the book that follows the 7 different versions of Batman from the Dark Multiverse. So it's Justice League Batman. So you have a Batman who has merged with the 6 other members of the Justice League, and then the one that's merged with the Joker, basically. So I really liked all of the different knights and their designs. I think my least favorite one was the Merciless. It's the one who wears the helmet of Ares, who is basically the Wonder Woman stand-in. He's just not as interesting as the other ones. He's just am strong, have sword. Like, it was good. It's just not as interesting as the other ones. Whereas you have one who has become a Green Lantern, except he's evil and absolutely so OP. And you have
also the gender swapped Aquaman one.
That's literally what I was going to say next, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but was still more interesting to read. It's just the Merciless was kind of the boring one, but I enjoy how if you read it back to back with the Resistance, if there are certain issues that align, so you read an issue of the Resistance, then it introduces the Knight that you're going to see in the next issue. And I really liked how that interplayed. The Red Death, which is the Flash variant, was the first one in the book, which has so many of the Dark Knight Returns homages. It was insane, and I loved it. It was just, this Batman is just like, I'm going to take the Flash, and we're going to merge. Barry, get on my Batmobile now. You're going to die. And it's just absolutely bad crazy. All pun intended. And then the overall narrative that includes the Justice League throughout this story, I really, really, really enjoyed how central Cyborg was to all of it. I remember when the New 52 started, and a lot of people were confused and mildly upset by the fact that Cyborg got upgraded to Justice League status over Teen Titan status. I was always a fan of that, and I think this book takes advantage of that. He is insanely overpowered, and he comes to a realization that he might have been a really good football player, but he was really he was destined to be a coach. He's really good at coordinating people and planning things and getting everyone riled up. And it's just a really, really good character moments. And
you hit on something that I was going to say, is that it felt like they usually do with Superman, they did to Cyborg this time. They immediately took him out because he's OP.
I definitely agree with that. And then it becomes even more OP when they're done. Because I got plugged into the multiverse, so you guys are all... It was so good. Big fan. Again, reading either this one or The Resistance as its own narrative is a bit janky. And I really do think all these books should just be contained in an omnibus in chronological order. Like, some people might disagree on reading order slightly, but
thank you.
I understand the book grouping, and I understand marketing wise it makes more sense. It sells more books, blah blah blah. And I get you want to collect all of the ones that follow the different narratives, but when the event as a whole is like, okay, you read the prequel stuff, you get the first 2 issues of Metal, then there's a ton of stuff. Then you go to Metal 3, then there's a ton more stuff, and then you just read 4, 5, and 6. It's just really front loaded and weird that all of the side narrative takes place in the front half. I don't have a problem with it, but when you have to read the books in that order and you have 4 separate books sitting on your lap rather than just a dummy thick omnibus that's in chronological order is a bit weird.
So take it back, Colin. All those nasty things about me needing my one book in order.
I'll never take it back. Suck it up, you big baby man.
You're gonna suck it up in a minute.
Next week, when you read this and you follow the list that I gave you, which is the perfect list, because I want to follow the list. I improved on Jacob's list, which improved on like the internet's default list. You're gonna agree.
I made it so much better than everyone else's.
I mean, no, it just, the list was missing things. That was weird. But like, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that would make way more sense to just read it. Cause it does flow pretty well as one straight narrative, but having to flip through the different books, and because the books they tell you on the backside what's included in it. And some of the issues have like the name, or you can tell what book it's from based on the framing style and the art or whatever. Like if you know the book, like the Flash, if you know how the Flash is being drawn in this era, you can figure out which one it is. But a lot of them don't even have the titles in them, or they don't have credits.
Right. So it'll say like Metal Event 15, but on the inside it'll say Snow Day in Gotham or something. It's
and I don't know if that was just a reprinting thing, which I would assume it probably was, because almost every book I've ever read, each issue has its own little credit page. And a lot of them were removed in this, and that drove me crazy, because the order that it says it is on the back of the book isn't always what it is on the inside of the book. And one of these books also has issues in it that are not included on the outside of the book, and just anger.
I'll have to go by your list then.
As a whole, I very much so enjoyed this event. Some gripes here and there. I think in hindsight, now understanding where this is going with like the rest of DC continuity, it kind of feels like the setup to something. As an event, I can't say I got that vibe while actually reading it. It's just with the greater context of, okay, we're leaving the Batman Who Laughs in main continuity, and he's going to build up to do his own sequel event that'll actually be the main event. And you can feel it if you know about it. But if you don't, I think this is just a very well self-contained thing. It's just in the back of my brain. I'm like, this is not the main course, is it? It just isn't. But metal, woo, heavy metal noises. Main topic, woo.
Yes.
Colin, go first.
Are going to talk about Man of Steel, released in 2016?
2013.
2013, dude. Batman vs Superman came out in 2016.
So anyway.
I think Jacob's a fake fan.
Fake fan alert.
I watched it in theaters.
Me too. I watched it with my youth group in theaters, and everyone laughed when they saw little baby Superman's pee-pee.
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh my gosh, the little man's pee-pee. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up.
Oh boy.
Colin, thoughts?
So I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. Probably never as much as Spencer will love this movie, or any Zack Snyder. But when rewatching this, the visuals of Krypton are just they're so luscious. They're so amazing. I love this version of Krypton.
Dongs.
Yes, I love this version of Krypton so much more than the comic one that I read that was drawn by Mike Mignola.
Oh yeah.
Going back, I'm glad I read that a while ago before we had this topic. I love the idea of Superman being the first natural Kryptonian birth in centuries, rather than him being just another, let's prick our thumbs into this machine and it'll create a baby from us. Because I was also thinking about Justice League Gods and Monsters, where that's how it happens for the General Zod Superman. It was first his mother's DNA, then his father's, but his Jor-El died before he got launched, or before he could actually put his DNA in. General Zod put his in. But anyway, back to Man of Steel. I love that. I love seeing the creatures of some creatures of Krypton, like that four-winged beast. That four-winged beast. And I really liked that part where Jor-El is using him to escape, but he notices that the beast has got shot, and so he's like kind of like calmly telling the creature to just ease up, not to hurt himself. It just shows how compassionate Jor-El can be. It's not like he's just using the beast. He also cares, because he cares of all of Krypton. And Jor-El is just such a good piece in Superman, in Man of Steel, that I've never really seen anywhere else. He's just kind of been like sperm donor, in my eyes, at least, for any other version of Superman, even the original Superman movies. And just, he's such a badass when he beats the shit out of Zod.
Fun fact that I don't know if you know the armor that he puts on in that sequence? It's entirely fake. That is all CG. Yep. It's nuts.
It's pretty good.
So, to explain the rules very, very quickly for new listeners, Spencer is a Zack Snyder cultist, and Colin is a Mike Mignola mime. So it gets obnoxious if it is not penalized. And that is why, if you are new to the show, there is a sexual sound after Spencer mentioning anything Zack Daddy and Colin mentioning anything Hellboy or Mike Mignola. I just want to have that clarification, because Colin did sneak in a Mike Mignola mentioned.
Yeah, I did.
It's not a cult.
Yes, it is. Anyway, Jacob.
As I mentioned, I saw this in theaters apparently longer ago than I thought it was.
You're old.
Shut up.
You were still a minor, I think.
Yes.
No, wait.
Yes.
Yeah. Haha.
I was fresh out of high school.
I was 12.
Baby.
Shut up.
Dude, I was 12.
Anyway, this is under special request from Spencer. I noticed in the theater, and from then on cannot unsee the shape of Amy Adams' nose. It looked huge on the big screen, and I was like, maybe it's just because it's on the big screen that it looks so big. Like, that makes sense. But then after having rewatched Man of Steel and all the other movies several times, it's freaking huge. I cannot stand it. It's so distracting.
I don't get that.
It's so distracting.
I don't get it. I can see the curvature in her nose, but like I don't see it as much of a big deal as you two do. Like I just don't.
It took so long for me to show Spencer. Like, the first time I mentioned it, he was like, "Shut up! You have no idea what you're talking about." And like 2 years later, out of the blue, he was like, "Today I realized you're right," and I was like, "Suck it!"
See, the thing is, I don't care. Like, it's not distracting for me at all. I just
stop being like that to his crush. All right.
Shut up. When I stared at it specifically to see if I could understand what he was talking about, I was like, okay. Because the way that she's usually like framed is head on, you don't see, like, it's a fairly long nose with like a fairly big slip to it. You don't notice unless you're looking for it. Now I just know that Jacob.
Man.
Now Jacob
they
is
intentionally frame her face straight on most of the time so you can't see it.
Well, they probably do.
That's literally just good directing. You're supposed to make everybody look better.
Yep.
I don't care, but it is a funny point because, like, it does have a bit of a slope to it. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's just like, oh dang.
I want to add to Superman and Lois Lane. So, of course, while watching this, I think about like other Supermans and other Lois Lanes, and I love this version of Lois Lane so much more because she's not a bitch. She's not an entitled bitch, and Superman's not a simp. Like in the comics or any other version, it's like she's such a bitch, and Superman's like, oh my gosh, she loves me.
But also, like,
she's like a human. She's like an actual person, not just a bitch character.
Wow, actually a person. I think the past 20 years or so of like actual comics have done a pretty good job of representing that relationship in a similar light as well. So I 100% agree with you. I think it was like episode 6 or 7, like way back. I was talking about the Man of Steel run from the mid 80s, like the Superman reboot that has kicked off the modern interpretation of Superman. It was like, oh my gosh, Lois Lane is written as an actual human being. And I think lately in a lot of the major DC events and the Superman stuff, since they brought back the pre-Flashpoint Superman, has done a very good job of exemplifying that.
So I am now setting a 4-minute timer. Spencer, your thoughts, go.
Oh boy. So yeah, big Man of Steel simp, not gonna lie. So I think overall it holds up extremely well visually and definitely well thematically. It definitely feels like a 2010s movie in a way with a very heavy disaster focus. But beyond that, I think it is a very timeless feel to it. Visually, I think the handheld cinematography that happens in Kansas a lot is some of my favorite parts of the movie. It brings a very grounded, realistic, phrases I hate using. But it does bring a lot of a more earthy feel to it. You have a lot of low shots. You get shots of grass, just grass.
It feels personal.
Exactly. And I think that's really the icing on the cake of this movie. I really appreciate the fact that they start off with Clark still having, like, he has a built-in morality as a person, but he's still off on his own trying to sort out like who he is. I like the loner bits. I like Henry Cavill with a beard. Sue me. Like, I just enjoy how large of a chunk of the movie that is. And it's like, it kind of implied he probably spent like a decade just bumping around between different jobs, trying to figure out where he belongs. Gripes. I have like 3 gripes with this movie. That's about it. The tentacles on the world engine in India are stupid. They will always be stupid. I don't hate it. It makes sense, technologically speaking. It's still
Dr. Octopus looking ass.
But also hentai. It gives you vibes.
I always took that as, I don't know, that whole thing kind of felt Matrixy to me, and I appreciated it.
That's a way to put it, actually. Like, I don't not like the concept. It's a fight with tentacles. They're not being controlled by like a person or anything, and it can feel a little weird. Moment following that, where he like shoots up into the world engine after looking like he's super constipated, was absolutely great. I loved that.
We were talking something different. I was thinking the kids on Krypton. Sorry about that.
No, I do love the Krypton stuff as well. Very much so. Other gripe would 5% of the destruction at the end. I don't have any problem with almost any of it on premise. Maybe you shouldn't have jumped over the oil tanker. That's about it. 5%. Just wheel back a little bit of it.
Yes, I was watching that and I was just like, oh my gosh, why didn't he just stop it? I mean, like, you just jumped over that.
The one thing I can give a gripe. The rest of it is like, you go through building, like just stupid criticism that's either addressed in the next movie or whatever. But that one is like, that's a bit of a dick move. The product placement used to bug me when I was younger. I don't care anymore, but on this rewatch, it bugged me. I don't know why. It's like, it's a U-Haul, it's an IHOP, it's a Sears. Like, it makes sense because A, sponsorship, B, it's set in a real world. There's going to be products. It's just funny. I don't know. Such a big deal was made out of it at the time. Also, Superman drinks Budweiser. I find it funny. It's really all I have. I love this movie in basically every aspect. And anybody who says it's excessively dark and gritty can go shove it up their ass.
All right. So I actually set a timer for 4 minutes and 45 seconds, and I tried pausing it to keep it fair for when we interjected. You have 2 minutes and 22 seconds left.
I don't need it.
That is
honestly those are all my thoughts. I understand if you don't like it, if it's not your Superman, that's cool. But saying it's not comic accurate, which isn't a criticism, nor should be a point of contention, because nothing's comic accurate.
That's not the point.
Comics are different in every interpretation, so that's a non-point.
Yep.
If you say it's dumb and doesn't understand Superman, you can go fuck off because you don't understand Superman.
I can understand
other criticisms of not liking it is different.
I can understand that criticism if it's Superman not being hopeful and not being a symbol of inspiration and a light and a beacon to humanity. But like, but he is though. So basically, you have no argument with him not being comic accurate or being Superman accurate. That's like his main thing.
Caveat that you snuck in very quickly there about all of the destruction is fair to make now. But way, way back in 2013, when this was just another movie that most of us didn't understand was going to turn into what it is, just thought that this was going to be another one-off movie. Like the Superman movie before that was completely forgot about. I think it's Superman Returns.
It is. But that's a part of that universe still, isn't it?
And it was like all by itself. So they explained it away with Batman versus Superman, but we didn't have that when Man of Steel came out. So it was like, it kind of felt like it was trying to be a Michael Bay movie, but with quality.
Well, no, we knew that we were going to get like an MCU type of universe, but
not until like 5 minutes before the movie came out. Like, it was established that it was going to be a thing, but I understand what you're saying, but as someone like, yes, I was not as old as you. I was not fresh out of high school. I was in middle school, but every single superhero movie at that time period did the exact same shit. So the fact that we're only calling it out on one movie is stupid.
Yep.
Maybe you can make the criticism of in some cases like the oil rig. That one's like, that's kind of dumb. But the most part, it's like every fight, he tries to take it to space. He tries to take it away from civilians. He tells civilians to run away. He saves people all the time. Those are non-points. Saying he shouldn't have lost his temper and plowed Zod through some abandoned buildings, but still some like the smokestacks. Like that one's like, yeah, okay, but that's a point of character flaw. Like that is a point, is that he shouldn't be doing that because he's being pissed off.
Yeah.
That's the double standard I don't like. And we're not talking just Marvel movies, like any other superhero or any other movie like that. It's like they all were doing it. So the fact that only in this movie is it a problem is bullshit.
Yep. Because we all know that the Superman in the older movies did dumb shit, and like, did he just murder someone type of feels? And when this Superman murdered someone to save humans, he flipped out. Like, he cried in anguish. He did not want to kill Zod.
The thing why I wanted to make my points way more concise is the fact that I don't like the fact that most of said Snyder cult, the part where it founded on is just rebutting non-points from people that shouldn't even be addressed as like valid criticism. Yep. I don't like the fact that it became nitpicks getting fought off with you're literally missing the point, and then it just screams at each other all the time. And it's like, we're going to make compilation videos of why you're wrong. Like, yes, it's funny that people are so oblivious that they don't see these things. But also, I just want to actually appreciate the movie for what it does, not just proving people wrong, like external to the movie. Just the movie itself is great, and I love it to death. Why is it that everything has to be an external argument of whether it be nitpicky type criticism or you don't understand this or oh no you didn't read this thing or well like that sort of shit. I understand on an occasion it's necessary, but for the most part it is just gross toxic fanboyism, and I don't like that.
Well, I mean, people also aren't really going to have like an opinion on a movie for movie because not everyone really cares for cinema like you do. Or like, I'm not even going to say that like I really care about cinema. I care about, I don't know, I guess art, which cinema is art, but like superhero stuff I do really like, but I'm more attached to superhero stuff now because it's like a main part of my childhood. And also, I do really still enjoy Batman and Superman, but also it's not like my favorite thing in the world. But that said, I think Man of Steel is one of DC's better movies. It's probably one of its best movies cinematically. I think it's amazing. I think it's a work of art. Just, yeah, it's edgy and things, but I guess it's more, it just feels more realistic to how a person is. Because think about it, every human's edgy. Like everyone has like edgy phases or like they got like shit going on. And this is just basically
quality edge though. It's not just
I just
edge
don't even
edge like Titans. It's like it's a well-made movie.
I just genuinely don't see any of it as edgy whatsoever. Like
I'm just saying edgy because people say edgy,
right? It's just got a slight edge. It's a different view of Superman than we've seen in movies up to that point.
Yeah,
if you can say it is a more realistic view of Superman, I guess, if that's how you want to say it.
It's the same thing as like I hate the fact that it just becomes grounded, gritty, realistic. Real work, like the same terms just get tossed around so much. Like it's not wrong, it's just it's like when every movie reviewer just does the same format of reviewing movies and then they give it a score and all the channels blend in with each other because they're doing the same shtick.
Yep.
It's not even a shtick, it's like that just kind of bugs me. But it's like I don't think calling it edge even like it maybe in comparison, like in contrast to other things it looks edgy, but if you're taking it as a PG-13 movie as an interpretation of the comics, which even after like the 80s became more teen oriented, not just adult, but just teens between 13 and 17. Like this isn't edgy like at all. They barely curse. There's no nudity. There's there's a baby dick. like
whatever,
there's very little in it. It's destruction and stuff. It's very typical PG-13 movie stuff.
I can agree and disagree.
Oh, look at you.
Colin has become more well-rounded as an individual.
Well, let's just freaking finish it on that point then.
I like
Thank
the cape.
you to our Patreon sponsor, Business Casual, who I'm just going to assume has continued support because I have not heard otherwise. We appreciate the support, and we would appreciate more support from listeners like you if you are a person not identifying as business casual. So you can find us at Dime Comic Bros Podcast on the website that is Patreon, but also any listening platform such as YouTube and iTunes, Apple Podcast and Spotify and Google Podcasts and iHeartRadio and a whole bunch of other lesser apps probably that
We should
really
put out our episodes on vinyl.
don't make the same kind of numbers, but weird audiophiles use different apps because they have to be hipsters. We are probably on those sites. Our email address is dimecomicbros@gmail.com. If you are a boomer like me, you can also find us on all of the popular socials except for Tumblr with the same name. We are
Tumblr. What is this? 2015?
People still use it.
We are in the process of setting up an OnlyFans account, but we are arguing over who should be the main and who should be the subs. So we haven't gotten there yet. Stay tuned. Next week will be something, and we will all be happily surprised by that. I think that is the show. Thank you for listening, and stick around for 10 seconds of silence and then memes.
Next week is Long Halloween.
10 seconds after that. Listen, I was trying to get an opening joke out of it.
So are you going to opening joke?
No, that was it, and you guys obliterated it.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to the Dime Comic Bros podcast. Why?
Colin,
I was
stop trying to do the
practicing.
intro. That's
I
my
was
job.
practicing beforehand, and Abby saw me do it perfectly, and I was trying to mess up. I did it perfectly. Welcome back to the Dime Comic.
So,
I mean, technically speaking, I think.
do you think what?
Oh, he's breaking out.
He just broke.
Oh, it's bad.
Because I watched it first. I think technically speaking, I had the first.
Oh my word!
No,
Just stop
wrong,
talking.
dude.
Stop talking. Oh my gosh! Hold on.
First, but that's just me. This was like 2 minutes.
Oh,
Hey, there he is.
oh, there he is.
It appears as though he yeeted something.
Or maybe he told someone to get off the Wi-Fi.
You good?
Are you good? You're dying.
I don't know, because that's you guys telling me. I can't tell. You guys are coming in fine.
Yeah, you broke up bad.
You died.
Dude.
You're dead.
You don't have a burp stuck in your throat that you can't burp, but it's there.
I hate when that happens.
It's like just an air bubble in the middle of my throat.
Mm-hmm.
Anger. I made a definitive metal reading list. I am officially a dweeb. Because the list that you were given by the internet was wrong. Your list was still kind of wrong. And then it doesn't even include everything that's included in those books that is in the metal event, not the other shit they included, but like all the metal stuff. It's still, there's a couple issues missing out of that.
Oh, yeah.
So I was full anal about it, and it's in the group chat now, so Colin can use it, which he won't. He'll just read the books back to back to back like a dumbass.
I thought about... I actually did take notes of rearranging it. Like, this is dumb. But then it was like I mostly changed it so that you were reading 2 issues back to back in each book instead of going 1 issue per or something like that. Yeah. So it was kind of potato. It was like, it's workable, and I didn't want to like completely rewrite it for you because that would have pissed you off. So
no, like most of it was fine. There was like one thing in there that was like, wait a minute, that is dumb. That's not chronological at all. Something I'm not going to put in my overall thing of it was I don't like how front heavy it is with all the tie-in issues. Whereas it's like you get the prequel stuff, you get like you get the first 2 issues, and then and then the 3rd issue, and then it's just 4, 5, and 6. You couldn't have spread out this story. I understand most of it makes sense to take place in the front end because the last 2.5 issues is just big boom.
Right.
But still, it's like, holy crap, this event as a whole going to get going. Can I see Superman again, please?
Did you say hi to Abby
Daddies.
for us? Did you
Colin,
say
why are you
hi?
taking caffeine?
Alrighty.
He doesn't listen.
I know. Say hi to Abby for us.
Jacob, you trying to say something?
Yeah, I think we've beat this one to death.
Okay, but
But what if we could punch it harder?
Let's punch it harder with the magic of friendship.
All right, we are at 2 hours.
Holy shit.